Noel Edmonds uses shop mannequin to stop people hailing his black cab. And as you can see, Noel is driving his cab there, and that there is the mannequin that lives in the back of his cab to stop people trying to hail it. Now, I realise that for a lot of you, that's quite a lot of information to unpack all in one go. It's easy to get hung up on the small details. You haven't got past the fact that he drives a cab yet. He does. It's an unlicensed cab, which is surprising in a way, because surely he, of all people, has done the knowledge. He's one of a few celebs who famously drive black cabs. There's Stephen Fry, for example, and there's Prince Philip. I'm assuming that if you've gone to the effort of owning an unlicensed black cab, you've done so in order to reap the benefits that licensed cabs enjoy. For example, driving in bus lanes. As you can see, Noel has been caught out driving illegally in bus lanes in the past. Stephen Fry has denied doing so.
My own cab, on the other hand, not that I would admit to using bus lanes, obviously in public, because it's illegal if you're not a licensed cabbie.
But as you can see...
But, let's face it, they do exist.
He denied it in the most admitting it really way possible. Anyway, back to Noel, and you know what? The Daily Mail love the saga of him, his cab and his shop dummy. They keep returning to the well for more. They had a nice juicy story about the time that Noel gave his dummy a Twitter account. Another one, basically asking if he was sane, when it turned out he was taking his dummy absolutely everywhere with him. Now, interestingly, you can see that in the first story, the mannequin was blonde, but here in story 3, she is a brunette. It's his wife who's blonde. There is an explanation for why she's changed her look. In the second story, it says, Edmonds has started to dress the dummy, named Candice, differently each week and place it in a variety of poses. At least that's his excuse. I suspect the real reason is he's realised, hang on, my wife is also blonde. This gives her an opportunity to dress up as the dummy, get in the back of the taxi and sneak herself out of the compound. I can't let that happen. No. Security at all times. I'm kidding, of course. By all accounts, Noel and Liz are very happily married. And that's nice to know. In fact, the shop dummy was actually his wife's idea. She bought him the dummy as a present. Yeah. As you can see here, Noel started placing Candice in the back of his taxi at the suggestion of his third wife. You see? I feel a little bit bad here, because I know that when I see the phrase third wife, I normally feel a tinge of sadness, knowing that whatever the circumstances, there's obviously been some bad times. I know it's wrong, but in Noel's case, the knowledge that he's twice divorced made me just a tiny bit happy. Not in a cruel way, not in a cruel way. It's just the knowledge that at some point 2 different women have had to contemplate the question, to Noel or de-Noel. It's just nice, isn't it? Anyway, there are so many delicious details to savour in these stories. For example, we learn that Noel says he can remember the exact minute Liz walked into his life, yeah? October the 6th, 2006, at 11 a.m. He remembers it exactly. When she came into my dressing room, I knew she was there before I turned round. Now, I don't want to reveal too many showbiz secrets here, ladies and gentlemen, but the one thing dressing rooms are full of... mirrors. Very hard to be in a dressing room and not have a sight of the door. Of course, there's also plenty of details in these stories about what purpose the dummy serves. Noel tells us that he got her to stop people flagging me down in the cab. She's there to stop pedestrians trying to flag him down. He's telling us that he was constantly being flagged down, that apparently people were permanently trying to hail you in the street. You get the sense that it really annoyed him that people were trying to hail his cab. Do you know what, Noel? If that annoys you, there's an even easier way of stopping people from trying to hail your cab. And that is, don't drive a bloody cab, you idiot! You can't have it both ways. You want to drive in the bus lane and have all the advantages of a cab. You can't have none of the disadvantages of a cab, which is the occasional stranger doing that at you, which isn't really that much of a problem anyway, is it? Look, this sign says bus lane, taxi lane, cycle lane. That's what it says. It doesn't say Noel Edmonds lane, does it? It doesn't. So back off, Buster. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on the man. Maybe it's just a bit of cheek on his part. He's just gaming the system. I don't know. I mean, some people bloody love him. They really do. You only have to visit the Deal or No Deal forums to see that, honestly. Like this chap, for example, who says, all hail Noel Edmonds. Don't do that. He hates that. Don't do that. Please, don't do that. Wind him up like you wouldn't believe. Don't do that. Don't. Now, I don't want you to think that this is just a Daily Mail obsession. Lots of other papers have written about this. The Mirror have been there, as have The Star, and their military wing, The Express. They've all been there. Been on the BBC, AOL, even The Guardian. They've all, at one point, written about the man, the mannequin, and/or the cab. And it seems to be a story that always provokes a reaction. And you know me, ladies and gentlemen. When a story like that is bubbling away, I get a whiff of it on the breeze, and there is only one place I'll be heading. And that's the bottom of the internet. I've read every comment I could find on every related story. I've taken my favourites of those comments and turned them into something that I like to call a found poem that I would like to perform for you now. What a weirdo. Leave Noel alone. He's just having a laugh. That's the thing with Noel. He always was a right nut balloon. And I used to find it entertaining when he was doing it on television. But now he is just doing it for its own sake. It is making me uncomfortable. So unless this turns out to be part of some secret TV show, I, for one, will not be tuning in. Noel is right. People take life far too seriously. We should all make an effort to put some fun into things. That's all Noel is doing. It's not all he is doing. He is also driving illegally in bus lanes, meaning that he gets to work quickly while we, the normal people, get stuck in traffic. Surely Noel being in a bus lane means there is one less traffic to be stuck in. Noel Edmonds, Olden Demons. Makes you think. This is supposed to deter strangers, but I bet it deters friends too. It would certainly deter me. Obviously, I'm not one of his friends, but I always thought that I would have been if I'd met him. I've stopped thinking that now. If you ask me, there is something sinister about this character. I can't prove it, but I've always had the feeling that he bullies his so-called friend, Keith Chegwin. Chegg has always seemed to adore Noel, but Noel had no love in his eyes for Cheggs. He always seemed to belittle him, and that was before he made him play Mr. Blobby for all those years. Edmonds is a qualified helicopter pilot. Fact. A helicopter is quicker than a car. Fact. Even one that is allowed to use bus lanes. Fact. Ergo, this story just does not add up. And so, the question becomes, what's he really up to? I saw him driving his taxi a couple of months ago. I'm afraid to say that I did try to hail him. From 100 yards away, I couldn't see the dummy in the back. Nor, for that matter, could I see that Noel was driving. Of course, when he drove past, I did see that it was him. I smiled and waved, but that just seemed to upset him. Although, for all I know, he might just have been listening to something sad on the radio. I'll tell you what, that dummy, I would.